Hi, this is Amanda Dolan, and welcome to the Mental Society. Today, I am joined by Trent Brock, and Trent has a really incredible story. He has had cancer 3 times, hip bone cancer that left him crippled, lung cancer, and then pancreatic cancer. And then that's when the doctors told you that you had a 5% chance of survival.
Correct.
And you changed your outlook, trained your mind to believe that you could beat cancer, even though all the specialists said, nope. And now you're 18 months cancer free, but undergoing a series of surgeries to get that leg that was part of it was taken away from the cancer
That's right.
to the same length that the other one is. And the other thing I love about your story is that while you were traveling the world, you randomly started a kettle corn company that is now the second largest popcorn company in New Zealand.
Correct.
Because, well, New Zealand didn't have kettle corn, and
They needed it.
oh yes, we all need kettle corn.
Sure we do. That's right. Exactly. You got it.
Oh, thank you so much for being
Sure. Yeah, my
here
pleasure.
with me today. I was just start I'm so grateful that you're here and that you
Thank you.
beat that cancer, because
Yeah,
the world is better with you here,
I
period.
appreciate it. I
Um,
think that's kind of become my thing is, now I kind of know why I'm here, because this is what I need to do is tell my story to, somehow help others.
and
That's really what it's all about now.
I think so many of us, and myself included, because I think I shared this with you when we were talking before. I had this almost suicide attempt that I heard God's Holy Spirit, whatever, say, I'm not done with you yet.
Right.
So I think talking about sharing stories of healing and hope, that's part of my purpose. And I think part of your purpose is bringing kettle corn to New Zealand and sharing about how you overcame not just cancer, but, some mental health struggles and just completely shifting your mindset. I would love if you would start with just a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are now.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Louisiana, so I consider myself kind of like, the redneck, kind of refined Southern gentleman kind of guy. And I've always loved traveling and the adventure thing. That's kind of always been my thing. So after I graduated from college, I moved to Dallas. I lived there for a few years. I was an IT guy, and did that for about 4 or 5 years, and had enough of that. And I decided I wanted to move to Europe, live in Spain, try to learn some Spanish, teach some English on the side, and travel around. So I did that for a while, and so I super bad had the big travel bug. And the next place I wanted to do is I wanted to go down under somewhere. Well, Aussie's really tough to get into, but New Zealand was the next closest place, and I got a visa into there, within a matter of, a couple of days. So decided I'd move there and started IT again. And along the way, I met a guy down there that was kind of doing some boxing stuff down there. And just give me a second, need some water here.
Sure.
And he and I became friends while the boxers were training. And he does kettle corn on the side in Washington State where he lives. We started up a weekend business, and it just grew from there. And the whole rags to riches story, these two guys hanging out on the weekends, making popcorn, and then the cinemas wanted it, and then the supermarkets wanted it, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I have 2 factories, about 15 staff, 4 massive automated popcorn lines. We service international, like Singapore, Malaysia, obviously New Zealand, the islands, and things like that. So that's a little bit kind of about me. Us Americans, we like to attach ourselves to our job and our career. That's how we are. So
yes,
I gotta kind of give you that part of it. So you think, okay, well, this guy's kind of got his stuff together, right? But the whole way along, I would say that I kind of did, struggle with some mental health stuff. And I think that probably started in college, for me. And back then, that was 20 something years ago. So back then it was, you're just having a problem, you're having a rough day, go see the counselor or whatever and have a talk, and, everything will be okay, and just, toughen up and get through it. Right.
right.
And so I really think I had dealt with some depression even then. And then, the thing with the career in IT in Dallas, very, very pressure cooker, very intense, tough environment. I think I had some burnout there, and I think that was part of some depression. And, so, to deal with that, instead of kind of dealing with it, I just eliminated that situation and moved halfway across the world. Right.
I mean, sometimes that's how we deal with the things. It's just,
Right.
I don't want to deal with it, so I'm gonna go look at this or be over here. Or,
Yeah.
do you think, that prevented you from, in any way, from like healing your mental health, or was that what healed or provided
Um,
some healing?
I think it was good. I think it, it eliminated the situation of the job and those kinds of things. But you know what? The whole cancer thing, I think really probably is what kind of helped me realize and face, oh, I got physical issues, but I also have some mental health issues I haven't ever really dealt with. And that was a bit of a kind of a discovery and a bit of a surprise for me. So
I think so often our mental health and our physical health are so tied together.
sure.
And I think perhaps getting a cancer diagnosis, it hits you with that mortality, right?
Yeah.
Like, I may not live.
Yeah.
Um, and so like when you, just curious, like
Yeah.
that C word, the cancer word,
Hmm.
when you first heard that, like what were all the thoughts? Or there's probably far more than you can,
Oh, well,
besides the
so
cursing and the
well, I got really upset. I mean, it blindsided me. So, and part of the thing was, I had already been dealing with some things because my brother's best friend, one of my good friends, my college fraternity brother, my aunt and uncle's godson, this guy's super tight with my family. He had a couple-year battle with cancer, and he didn't make it. He didn't make it, and he had died about 9 months or a year before I got diagnosed. And, so the last thing he told me was the year before we'd had a party for him, his birthday. We all flew in, we all came, from everywhere to New Orleans and had a big party and everything. The last thing he said to me when he dropped me off is, I'm coming to New Zealand to see you, and I'm bringing my family. Awesome. Trips on me, just get there. Well, I get back to New Zealand, I'm doing my thing, working or whatever. I just get a phone call out of the blue. He's gone. He didn't make it. And so that was tough for me because I didn't get to come back and go to the funeral and the closure and everything and all that stuff.
right.
So, and then a few months after that, one of my really good friends owned the Mexican restaurant that I went to and that I used to call Mexican bingo at. Didn't go so well. And he declared bankruptcy. And then the next day he went out and he hung himself. So I was already dealing with some things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this has all happened within, 8-9 month period. And so then, I'm doing this, I'm limping around my factory. I go to 3 different doctors, they're all telling me you've got a torn butt muscle. I go in to see the hematologist to get some blood work done. And she's like, you're getting an x-ray. A week later, they call me and say, you got cancer, buddy. So exactly what do I think, right? I think, oh my God, I'm going to die just like Chris. That's my immediate reaction. That's my immediate thought, right?
Right.
So I was actually sitting in my truck at work and, I got really upset and I called my parents and I told them and what was happening. And immediately they wanted me to come straight to the hospital because the doctor told me that I had about a 1/4 inch of bone holding my leg on. And if I broke my leg and every step I took, I potentially could break my leg. That if I broke my leg, that the leg would come off. That would be it. They wouldn't save the leg. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I go straight to the emergency room. Okay. They get me in a wheelchair. They check me in. They want me there 2, 3, 4 days, whatever. I figure out, okay, they're going to do an implant. They're trying to save me, keep me here. I got my business to run. I'm checking out, man. I'm out of here. I didn't say you guys can call me when you have appointments or, okay, I got cancer. You guys are going to put an implant in there. Okay, fine. Well, it's going to take a while to do that. I'm going back to work. You guys call me when you need me. Okay. So over several months, okay, this whole, cat chasing its tail kind of thing. They would do the x-rays, they do the scans, they would say, okay, we're ready. They would build it out. Well, this is public health care. It takes several weeks. Do the scan, we're ready. Oh no, the cancer's progressed. Implant won't fit. So this happened over and over and over. Okay. In between that, I had checked myself in because the pain was so bad I just couldn't handle it. I was basically in a wheelchair. Okay. And I checked myself in, and it was this whole implant thing again. So they decided it's too expensive for me to be in the hospital while we're waiting another 5 or 6 weeks. So they put me in a resident assisted living home. Well, this just happened to be a dementia nursing home where everyone there was very, very close to checking out. Okay. I was the only one there that was, everyone else was like over 80. Okay. This is the last place you go before it's over. People are moving out left and right. I thought they put me there to wait me out because the surgeon told me on the very first appointment I had, you're lucky we caught this because in 6 months, you would be dead from this cancer. Okay. Well, we're looking at probably about the 4-month mark. And I'm thinking, okay, these guys are waiting me out. They're waiting me out, right? So my mental health goes down the tubes. I'm calling my parents saying, I'm sending you my money. It's over. I don't think you're going to make it down here before I die. Blah, blah, blah. It's totally over dramatic. Okay. But in my mind, this is what's happening. Right. So the doctor, I had an appointment. He's like, what is going on with you? So I kind of explained the situation. He checks me back in the hospital. Okay, fine. Okay, it's surgery time. 2 or 3 days before surgery, doctor comes in. Hey, man, it's definitely progressed way too far. We can't do anything. We're cutting your leg off. Well, obviously, have a meltdown. Okay, they even send a guy in. They send a guy in that had an accident at work, that had a plastic leg, and he had it all strapped on. Man, he took his pants off. He took his leg off. He showed me everything. I had like an hour meeting with them. They were getting me mentally ready that they were cutting my leg off. Okay.
Right.
I can't handle this. I can't do this. My dad gets involved and says, you're not cutting this guy's leg off. You don't know who he is. You've never met him. He's not a quitter. He's a winner. Give him a chance. We don't care. So they decide to keep the leg. Okay. Several months in the hospital. And I get over the cancer and I get back to work. Mom and dad go home. Next scan, I've got pancreas and lung cancer. Well, obviously the pancreas cancer is the most important thing.
Right.
Have surgery. This is during COVID. So COVID's hit, in between. Mom and dad can't come down. I'm all by myself in the hospital. Okay. Can't have any visitors. New Zealand's locked down like a prison.
Yes.
Okay. Not good. You want to talk about mental health? We could have another session about what the government's done to the people with their mental health over the year and a half their eyes locked down in that country. Terrible. Okay. Anyways, so I have the surgery. Okay. It's not cancer. So they try to turn this around on me and say, oh, Trent, congratulations. You didn't have pancreas cancer. I'm like, well, what was it? And they said, well, it was a blood clot. So misdiagnosis, they screwed up, compromised my health. I have half of my pancreas gone. I have a colostomy tube bag hanging off me because my bile's leaking out of my gut for several months. Okay. And they just turn it around on me. So this is a bittersweet situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know if I'm over it, but let's move on with the story. Okay. So then I have lung cancer. They check me in. We have that. The orthopedic finds out that I'm in the hospital. I knew the leg was infected. Okay. I've been having trouble with it for the whole year and a half till they put a wire in there to hold it so it didn't continue to progress upward. And he found out I was in the hospital because I wouldn't come back in. I didn't want him to do anything else to me. Don't touch me anymore. I know it's infected, but I just don't want to do anything else. So he finds out I've just had lung surgery. He comes in while I'm all loopy and says, we're doing leg surgery on you tomorrow. Well, I have no one there to defend me. I have no one there to speak for me. I'm barely to speak for myself. Okay.
Right.
So they rip me open. Okay. Take the wire out. So here's the situation. I got infection in my leg. I got an infection in my lung as well. Okay. I got infection from that day after the surgery. I got a PICC line in my arm, and where they're giving me IV antibiotics several hours a day, trying to get rid of all this infection, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I can't do any, I can't even get myself to the bathroom. 2.5 months of that. Okay. And the heart surgeon comes in and he says, "Hey, somebody needs your bed more than you do. You're out of here tomorrow." I'm like, I've got a vacuum hanging off my leg with a machine that I've got strapped around me, this semi-permanent tube out of my arm, gashing my back, gashing my leg. Just like, okay. So hey, they pack my stuff up, send me downstairs, put me in a taxi. I'm gone. Okay, fine.
Well, but I
Okay.
just am like that was being so alone in that moment, right? Because
Not only, yes. I mean, yeah.
your
I mean,
family's not there.
correct. No family. Okay. Can't even see your friends, right? Because you're supposed to be in your bubble, right?
Right.
For me, my bubble was work. What was, I could go to work, thank God, because I had a food business, because we were supplying the supermarket, the only place in the country you could get food for months. So I could go to work, home, okay, and that was pretty much it, right? And the supermarket, if I needed to, right, to grab some food, which I couldn't. I had to have one of
Well, how could you get out much on your own if you've got all of
my
those things going on?
my coworker, or one of my employees, would go to the supermarket with me, buy my groceries, put it in a backpack, and when I got home, I backpacked my stuff into my house. Yeah. So extremely lonely, and so they check me. I check out. 2 or 3 days go by, right, and I'm like super aggravated, getting a major argument with my flatmate. I'm mad at my staff. I'm angry. I don't know what's going on. I'm having hot and cold sweats. I'm starting to have crazy thoughts. I'm getting anxiety. I'm starting to have suicidal thoughts, slipping into depression. All these things are going on. I'm having methadone withdrawal. Now, methadone they use in New Zealand as a very effective pain management option.
And like methadone here is often used as a way to get people off of heroin or
Yes.
other opioid,
Correct.
is a treatment. But what people don't understand is that you are still addicted. Like your body still requires that chemical.
Yeah.
You just don't quite get that same high that you do with, say, heroin.
Yeah, I mean, it was a total pain management thing. They use it in New Zealand. They use it on me with my leg surgery the first go around. Had no issues. Well, they use it on me, this second go around with all these major surgeries, but they didn't send me home with anything. And I didn't think that I needed anything because I had no issues the first time.
Right.
So I have to go through this rigmarole of calling the hospital, get my GP involved. And it was this whole thing with like, well, I'm under the hospital's care because they released me, but my GP has to write the prescription, but she can't because it's just this whole big mess, right? Then you got to find some place that actually will supply you the methadone, and they give you enough, okay, to get you through about 2 days. And I'm talking like a dropper, like, I mean, it's just like you wouldn't even believe. So they're treating me like a crack addict when I go up there trying to get it, because they think, because there's a really bad
The opioids or the like.
there's a really bad deal with methamphetamines. Okay.
Okay.
Really bad deal with methamphetamine stuff there. So, they think I'm kind of cracked out, and I just got to the point where it's like, I've done so many things the hard way. I'm doing this the hard way. And so, my mental health was really bad. I got very close to hanging myself a few times, and I just kept going back to the story that one of my best friends had just hung himself, and so, that's kind of when I say my mental health journey kind of began to just that's when things started. I was going down the tubes. Okay. Totally down the tubes. And, that's when I kind of started giving up, right? Through all that, I've had enough. I'm ready for this to be over.
Mhm.
And you know what? And so, right. And then I have my next scan and I really do get pancreas cancer. Okay. So now I've really got pancreas cancer. You know, it's this whole deal, the methadone, all the stuff and everything. And so I go in. This is about a 6-month deal from when the time they caught the pancreas cancer for real until when I'm like, you know what, this is getting too serious. I was reading the scans as well. So, you
Right.
know, I mean, it's not hard. You know, it's like, here's the measurements. Oh, it was this one. Now it's this big. Oh my gosh, it's that big. Now I can read, oh, it's growing into my other organs, i.e., growing into my stomach. Okay. So I'm waiting around on this public pancreas doctor, the same one that misdiagnosed me and screwed me up, wouldn't give me
Mhm.
anybody else. So still got to deal with this guy. And I go see a private guy. He just said, look, it's progressed too far. We can't do anything. And radiation is not an option because we can burn a hole through you. And surgery is not an option because your stomach is a sensitive organ and you could very well bleed to death. I'm not going to recommend you for surgery like that. Okay, so what are my options? Chemo's not really an option for this kind of stuff. What are we going to do? No options. I realized at that point that I had become a number in the system and they were waiting it out for me to die. Okay. And so, you know, I'm dealing with the methadone thing. I'm dealing with the mental health issues, you know, everything I'm dealing with on top of this. And, you know, my staff are like, Trent, don't come to, you don't have to come to work. So I'm hanging around the house.
Probably adds
Um,
to that, like, loneliness, not feeling a sense of purpose,
oh yeah.
along with
Oh
all
yeah.
the others.
All that stuff, right? You know what? And I sat around the house for a couple weeks, and you know what? After I watched a couple talk shows by about 10 o'clock, I'm so depressed watching that crap. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm counting the minutes to try to get to lunchtime, you know? And so I did that for a couple weeks and thought, you know what? The hell with this. I ain't doing this anymore. I'm going back to work, you know? And my parents normally were on the phone with me
Mhm.
um, with most of my appointments. And, you know, it was after one of my appointments, and, you know, the despair and the sadness and the hopelessness that their son is going to die on the other side of the world. And there's nothing they can do. They can't even come visit me. You
Right.
know, I'm locked in, you know, like the whole insurance thing. I'm not moving back to bankrupt my parents and die. So they're going to be broke and sad. I'd rather them just be sad, you know. And I'm like, well, I've kind of resigned to the fact, you know what? I'm just going to die in New Zealand alone. I'm going to make my business the best I can make it. And that was a tough couple weeks, right? And so then I'm just on the phone with my parents one day, and I just had this epiphany, and I just thought, you know what? My buddy died of cancer. We had to watch him and bury him. That was sad. Then my other buddy with the whole suicide thing, we had to bury
Mm.
him. I'm not dying. I'm not doing it. I'm not dying on my parents. I'm burying them. That's the way this thing is going to do. I made a decision. Now, say I was, you know, goofing around, you know, just back and forth. Am I going to try to fight this? Am I not? Am I going to give up? Am I not? I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. All that. Well, I made my dang mind up. I'm going to try to live. And why am I going to do this? So now I need a reason, right? You
Mhm.
make you make a decision, but then you need a really dang good reason. Because what's going to happen is when it gets hard, you're going to say, oh, it's too hard. But then you have to remember that reason. And if you have to, you write that reason down and you put it on about 4 different places all around. You put it in your car, you put it on your mirror, you put it on your bed, on your nightstand, and you put it on your desk at work, you
Oh,
know?
in your refrigerator, right, too, like that, because you got to go get, right, I mean, all the places.
Right, right. Okay. Okay, Mr. Tough Guy. So now you're going to beat this. You have a 5% chance. So now I got this whole thing going on, right? I am a practical guy. I'm wired up pessimistic already. Okay. I'm a realist. I see
Mhm.
it half empty. Okay. I don't see the rainbows and unicorns. I think of, oh, what are all the crap we're gonna have to deal with to get there? Okay.
Right.
I'm just kind of wired up that way. I had to change all that. So how did I do that? Well, you know, so I had to change my diet. So I got to change the physical, right? The
Right.
mental, the mental, which involves your emotions, your feelings, the spiritual side, and, just your cognitive, thought process. So the physical wasn't too hard. I decided I was going to go back to the gym, get back in the gym, because I just knew that one day, okay, I'm going to have to be in shape because this leg's going to get fixed. But first, we got to deal with this cancer.
Right.
Cancer's first, chronic infection is second, leg is third. That's how we're going to do this. So, I'm thinking to myself, okay, then I got to change my diet. So I changed my diet. I didn't go crazy. I just got off the sugar. I got off the crap food. I quit eating fast food. I started eating a balanced diet, started taking some vitamins, just some things, okay? Nothing crazy. But the mental was the deal, right? The mental is the thing you got to change, because if you don't change this, the rest of your body knows.
It does. Yes.
Yeah, it knows. It knows. So, excuse me for a second. Gosh, I've been kind of dealing with something, just can't kick it.
Yeah, or it's the allergies here in the South. Like, I joke that it's everything's yellow here, right? There's that film of pollen on everything.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So the way that I started doing that was, I knew that I had to, and I'm a Christian, right? But but I'm not this crazy, just this nuts over the top Christian. I'm a Christian as part of my life, okay? But so are other things. But I knew I needed to renew my mind. That's what I had to do. So how did I do that? Well, so if I wasn't at work, I was doing something that was a self-help something to change my mind. So I was listening to positive, uplifting music that made me feel good, okay? Or I was maybe even listening to some Christian music that I liked, that had a good influence. I would, I found a series of miracles in the Bible, and I listened to those repeatedly. So I would listen to them to the point where, like, after work, I would turn it on, and I would listen to it, and until I went to bed. I would play that stuff all night long. I would play something positive. I would do some self-help stuff. I would do anything. I found books. I found a couple books, right? A couple of these people that beat cancer. So, I read, and I cut out my crappy friends, the negative ones. I cut them out, right? And it is nothing but positive. Okay. And, I found stories on the internet about some guy that beat pancreatic cancer with radiation. So I'm like, if one can do it, I can do it. And, and I got a counselor, right? I'm talking to my counselor once a week, and I started doing some meditation things, and, and the yoga stuff. Okay. The yoga stuff with the meditation and the physical and the stretching and the balance and all that, you got to do it. Get your butt to yoga class. And if you can't, get on YouTube and do a few. And so, it's all these things that I was doing. And I just kept on and on and on. And I eventually figured out, I say, you know what? I just know that, I don't feel like I'm just going to wake up and have a miracle. I believe that, things happen, but you need to put yourself into the right position. You need to do your part of the job. If you want to, God is merciful. Okay. And God is grace. And there's all those things. But come on, man, you got to do your part too. And I know with me, when I lay my head down on the pillow at night, I have to think to myself, and I have to say, I did almost everything I could do today to help myself. And I feel good about it. And I can go to sleep tonight. And that's how I'm wired. That's how I'm wired up. So, and God, I'm trying to think about what other things that, that I did. Oh, these were a couple of big things. So, it's all this deal like life and death. And it's such this heavy thing about, oh, you're going to die. And, big deal, man. I've dealt with death so many times now. I don't care about it. I know where I'm going. I'm not scared of dying. Whenever I go, I'm going. I know I'm going to see some of my friends. I'm going to see my grandparents, and I'll be there when I'm there. I'm more scared about actually speaking in public than I am about dying, which is crazy. But it is what it is, right? So, you know what? I changed this to that kind of that thing about this is nothing but the game of life. It's just a game. It's just a game. Well, for me, the game is football because I'm a football guy.
Well,
So,
you're from the South, right? Louisiana.
and I'm
Like,
a dude, and I like contact sports. So, hey man, pick a board game, pick Pictionary. I don't know, pick a game, whatever it is. I don't care. But for me, it became a game. And so it was like third quarter, I'm looking at the score. I am losing by a lot. But guess what? I'm the quarterback. This is my game. I'm in control. So,
you're calling the plays. You're
yep,
it's all on you.
correct. I can't control what the other team's doing. Okay. That's outside of my control. I can't control what the refs are doing. But you know what I can control? I can control me and my team. And those kind of things are my attitude, the doctors that I choose, my friends and family hanging around. Am I going to choose to listen to a self-help thing, or am I going to go do something that's not as constructive? Right.
Right.
And so that's what it became. So, for example, I didn't like the situation. I'm calling a timeout. Well, my timeout is, you know what? I received some information from the doctor today. Now, doctors for me, they practice medicine. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
They're just practicing. Okay. They ain't perfect. And guess what? I'm the one that knows the most about me, about anything. So I'm going to take a
100%.
little piece of that. I'm going to take a little piece of what you're saying, and I'm going to make the final decision because I'm in control of me and my choices of my life. So I didn't like a situation. Let's say I didn't like the doctor. I would call a timeout. Well, for me, a timeout was I'm taking a break from this situation for the rest of the day. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to get myself a good meal. I'm going to try to get myself a good rest. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to weigh my 3 options, and I'm going to go for it. Well, if I can't figure out what to do, when I go to the sidelines, I need some help. So I'm talking to the coach. Well, the coach in this instance just may be my best friend. So I'm going to call him and say, hey, I'm having some trouble making a decision. I need you to help me make a decision. So what is that decision? That's the next play. So I go and do that play. Maybe it was a good play. Maybe it was a bad play. Maybe I made some yards. Maybe I lost some yards.
And that
But
informs your next play because you now know how you're showing up, how the other team or cancer or whatever it is, doctors showing up, and now you're informed on your next move.
there you go. There you go. And now, you know what? Hey, maybe I didn't make a right decision, but I knew if I put enough plays together in a row, I was going to get a touchdown. And for me, a touchdown was beating cancer, right? And so that's kind of how I thought about it. Just play by play. I'm not trying to get to the end of the game. My goal is I'm going to win the game, but I'm just little play. So day by day, little by little. I am just trying to get my butt to lunchtime. If I can just get myself to lunchtime, then I'm just going to try to get myself to the end of the day.
And I think that's the way so many of us, I mean, I never loved the word should because I always, it sits weird with me, but there's something about that, like little pieces at a time, right? Like if someone put, an elephant in front of you and we're like, eat this. If you try to sit down and eat that all in one sitting without stopping, without creating a plan, you are never gonna do that.
Right.
But if you take a moment and take a step back and look at the full situation, it can be clearer. Maybe not clear, but clearer.
Yeah.
And I have this, be curious your thought on this.
Sure.
I have this thing I heard once that you cannot make a mistake. Mistakes can be made, but you cannot make a mistake in that moment because you are making the choice with all the best information that you have.
That's right. That's right.
And so, like one of the things that I've experienced is, and this was really difficult for me, was I was at not my church, I was at another church, and I'd shared a bit about my story. And I was told by this person that I'd never met before, if you just pray harder and you trust in God, like he'll take he'll take your mental illness away and you won't need any medication anymore and you'll be fully healed. And I am of the mindset this is for me, that
Mhm.
part of my healing is actually that God gave the scientists and the doctors and all of that the tools and the wisdom and all of
Yeah.
to create the medicine and treatment that has
Mhm.
worked for me.
Sure.
And so like that, but that really hit me when it was like, you're not praying enough, you're not doing enough.
Right.
And so when you might interact with someone who they are doing all of those things
Yeah.
and they still are on that
Mhm.
path towards death or heaven or wherever,
Sure.
whatever we want to
Mhm.
call it,
Yeah.
what would you say to them? Like if that big shift in mindset doesn't heal them, what is
You
what's the
know
next
what?
step?
It's very interesting that you bring that up because I will try to kind of compare that to a situation that had happened to me. Okay. So obviously, with all the things that were kind of going on, I started going back to church. And when my parents were over, we went to a church that I kind of liked, and we went a few times. And then, like on Sundays, we would watch the online service. So I was in the habit of doing that. Well, on and off, I'm back and forth between work and whatever. And I'd had the pancreas cancer, and I'd had the diagnosis, and I was waiting to get the biopsy. And I was hoping and praying and believing, okay, that um the biopsy was going to come back negative, that this was going to be another blood clot, okay, something like that. I happened to be in church one Sunday, and I was on the corner. The preacher came walking in late in the service. He came walking in and he slapped me on the back. I don't know this guy. I don't even know this guy. He just kind of patted me on the back. I felt this zap thing happen, right? And I was like, whoa, God, what was that? And the guy next to me goes, oh, do you know Pastor Paul? And I said, no. And he's like, well, he knows you. And Pastor Paul was continuing to walk down the
Mhm.
aisle, and he turned around because he heard that. He turned around and he kind of just did the whole like, yeah, kind of thing. And we both just kind of looked at each other and we are like, wow, okay, cool. So I'm thinking to myself, right? I've been healed. I've been healed. I know when I go get this biopsy, I'm gonna have been healed. Well, I got the biopsy. Guess what? It was cancer. It was cancer. So you know what? I was in it. That put me in a state of I got angry. I got angry at God. Who wouldn't? I
Right.
thought this was my miracle. This is my miracle, and it didn't happen because I need a miracle. I literally need a miracle. I have less than a 5% chance to make this with treatment. I'm not even have a chance to get treatment right now. So, I worked through that and I thought to myself, you know what? For some reason, my plan and my thought was that I was going to get that I got instantly healed from a miracle. You know what? That wasn't what God's plan was. So if you get like that and you're doing what you're doing, you just keep doing what you're doing. Just don't quit. Don't give up, because all you're doing is you're getting yourself one step closer to your plan. If you're doing the majority of the things that you think you're supposed to be doing, you're not going to win every single day. Okay, you can't. It's impossible. But if you're winning most days, and if you level up and you're actually honest with yourself, and you think, you know what, I've done most of the things that I know that I can do, and you know what, and I just can't do anymore. It is what it is. You have to trust. You have to trust that you don't know what the plan is, but you know you're doing the right things to get to the plan. You just can't quit. You just can't quit.
Yeah. It's
That's
that
that's
like
what I would say. It's
the
that
next
simple.
best, the next best step, the next
It's,
do the
it's
next
not.
thing.
Yeah, there's no rocket science to this deal. Okay, it's a very simple formula. Keep doing what you were doing. That's it. That's all you can do.
And I want to just go back to kind of this place where you were talking about
Mm-hmm.
ready to give up, all of those things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just highlight there though that for you and for me and for lots of other people, the thought of suicide is about ending the pain that you are in, not about hurting anyone else. And I hate to say, like, often you don't think of the people that you're going to leave behind.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that level of whether it's physical or emotional, mental pain, it's hard to focus on anything
Oh
besides
yeah.
that pain.
Oh yeah.
And
Totally.
I I hate that your friend committed suicide.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean,
And
it's I
and
can't. I still have trouble dealing with it.
and also, and while I hate saying, things like this a lot of the times, but I also like wonder how that helped you stay here because
Yeah.
you knew how it
Yeah.
impacts others that
Yeah.
that you care about and love. Now that being said, like I don't want to do this like, well, that's the reason he died, because I don't think there's ever a reason for suicide
Right.
in that sense. You know, I'll share this. On Saturday was the 1 year anniversary of one of my very good friend's husband's suicide.
Okay.
And he has, I mean, they have 6 kids, all different ages, 2 grandkids. Like they're just, and I'm still trying to find like the
Yeah.
peace with that.
Sure.
And I think that, like when I think about Demian, he was the life of the party so often. He was that big personality. And sometimes those are the ones the ones you least expect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because, right, you were over there fighting, you had this incredibly successful business, and yet there were still those whispers, or maybe
Right.
even more than a whisper, like an actual voice saying, like, maybe you're better off not being here,
Oh yeah.
not fighting.
Yeah.
And now you're here talking to me about this incredible lifelong journey that you're going to
Sure.
be on. I mean, I imagine, and I don't know for sure, that you're going to have to go through scans and, you
Yeah.
know,
Every
checkups,
3 months. Every 3 months. Yep.
and that's okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
If it's part of the game, right? Like
It
it's
is. It is. Yep. It's just
kind
part
of
of the
like when
game
you
I'm
go to
in.
the trainer during halftime, and they
Yep.
check to make sure your ankle or your knee or whatever is still
There you
good
go.
enough to keep playing, or whatever it is. So,
Yep.
I mean, and back to just that, it's kind of that keep on trucking, right? Just,
I mean, it's just that simple. You know what? And here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know what? Like we all have those times. We all have those times where it just gets to be too much.
yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Take a break, man. Take a time out. Okay. Whatever you need to do to go recharge. For some people, go for a walk, go to the gym, go for a swim, get outside, spend some time with your family. Whatever it is that you do to take a break, take a break. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's what you got to do. You got to do it.
And yeah, taking a break, taking a breather doesn't mean you're giving up,
No,
right? Because if you think
no.
about it too, like our bodies need rest to heal, right? Like there's a reason we
Absolutely.
need to sleep.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that we take breaks from things, because we do need to recharge and
Mhm.
maybe reset that our mindset,
Yeah.
get a different perspective. Because sometimes, it is that like things look different in the morning sometimes. Like
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and you when you were talking about like coming off the methadone and all of that, um, that like irritability and
Ooh.
just being, and then it can often, in those times, and that irritability can come as well when you're struggling with depression or anxiety or all of those
Absolutely.
things without the added, withdrawals.
Mhm.
But that can also make us feel a little more alone and lonely, because the people that we usually count on are like, I don't really want to be around you because you're kind of being an asshole right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but I also think, and I talk about this all the time, I think connection and being in relationship with people is one of the most important pieces of health, whether
Mhm.
that's your mental health or your physical health. It's just
Absolutely.
surrounding yourself. And for you, some of your support system was literally halfway around the world.
Yeah.
But they were there,
That's
they
right.
were present.
That's
And then
right.
you had the people that you worked with and your friends,
Yeah.
as well. And so, like, so grateful
Oh
that
yeah.
all of them were there and that you made this decision to fight.
That's it. That's it.
And like, I want to, before we completely end, just if you were fighting and it doesn't, like, you die because of whatever,
Yeah.
that does not mean you failed. Like, let's just,
I don't know. I
right.
know.
Like, I want to
No,
make
no.
that very clear that, like, because like you said, it's about the game. It's about the living
It's how
and
you
not the
play the game.
dying.
It's about how you play in the game, how you play in the game,
And,
And I want to go out with dignity and class and knowing like, you know what? He never gave up because that's what I was going to have on my headstone. He never quit till the last minute. I was like, that's it, man. If that's what it is, that's what it is.
and it's we're all gonna die, right? Like
Yeah,
that, like
absolutely.
that is just the reality that, my mom always says the leading cause of death, or the leading cause of the leading cause of death is birth. Right?
Okay.
Because every single person that's born will die, like 100%. And
Sure.
so it's really about all that time in between
Mm-hmm.
and how you choose to live that and show up. And like, also with that though, it doesn't mean you do it on your own, right? Like, there are very few
Mm-hmm.
games out there that are truly all alone by yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
even if that means you have somebody that you're just playing against, like, if it, like, let's say you're playing checkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have an opponent, but also if you continue to play that with that same opponent, you learn how they play, you can change your strategy,
Yep.
right? Like, it's the whole, it's not just showing up and doing the same thing every day. It's learning
Mm-hmm.
and growing and
That's it.
being willing to make those changes,
Mm-hmm.
which can feel really big and hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. That's it.
So, is there anything else that you would love to add before we wrap things up?
One thing, yeah, people ask me, well, you've had cancer 3 times. Aren't you scared it's going to come back? And I'm like, nope. And they're like, well, what? Why not? Here we go. Here we go. Back to another one of my analogies. Okay. Life for me is like a deck of playing cards. Well, I had a few bad cards in my hand a while back. I played those. I actually got out of that hand okay. I've got some new cards. They're better than those cards. So I can never get cancer again because I already played those cards, and those cards, once they're gone, they're gone. So I'm pulling something new, you know, and it can only get better because it was really bad. So that's the way I think about that. So no, I'm not going to get cancer again because I've already done that.
What a great way to look at it is that
Yep.
I've lived that experience and I'm done with it. I'm good
That's
with
it.
it.
Yep. Moved on. Yep.
I think that's a great way to look at it. And that mindset of just, I'm here to play the game. Football, in your case,
Yep.
just one down at a, or one play at a time.
You got it.
Like,
that's it.
And timeouts. Take a breather and learn from each play and reset and you're not restarting right from the beginning because you've got all kinds of information that you've already worked into your existence.
That you've gained. You're building a playbook, right? You're building your playbook. Every play you have, you've been building your playbook since you started. So
I think that's I like that analogy of
cool.
Creating your own playbook that you live by. And it's a never-ending playbook, right? You get to add plays, and I would argue that you could even maybe not take away plays exactly as much as just like, okay, those plays aren't working, so we're gonna like put those in the way back of the book
Yep.
and not look at
Yep.
it anymore.
You
But
got
they're
it.
still there, and you can look at them and remember and
May need them
learn
down the
from 'em.
road. May need them down the road for a trick play, you know?
You never know. Ooh, I kind of like that trick play. just in case, right?
Right, just in case, you know. Oh, I love trick plays. Those are my favorite, right? The one.
Oh. Well, thank you so much,
My
Trent, for
pleasure. My
joining me.
pleasure.
This was a great conversation.
Oh, I think so too. Yep.
So with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. And so thank you so much for
My pleasure.
listening and learning about mental health and society and how they meet. Now go out and open up a conversation and discover how mental health is experienced in your world. You can find more episodes of the Mental Society and all of the places you find your favorite podcasts. We also are on YouTube. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. You can find additional resources, articles, and more by visiting our website, thementalsociety.com. And remember that you are not alone in your struggles. Hope and help are all around you. And until next time, this is Amanda Dolan, wishing you good health, mental and otherwise.